Victor's separation and isolation from the rest of the human race continues in chapter 22. Initially, he says that he abhorred the face of man, but then corrects himself to say, "Oh, not abhorred. They were my brethren, my fellow beings, and I felt attracted even to the most repulsive among them, as to creatures of an angelic nature and celestial mechanism. But I felt that I had no right to share their intercourse." He feels that he has condemned himself by introducing the monster to the world. He has unleashed evil by dabbling in evil, or as he terms it, his unhallowed acts, the transgressing of moral boundaries that occurred when he sought to play God, to animate lifeless matter. At the beginning of this chapter, Victor is mentally and physically exhausted from his experiences in Ireland. The irony here is that he's been acquitted, declared innocent, released from captivity. This should be a time of celebration and relief, but of course for Victor, it's the opposite. Having been released, he becomes even more acutely aware of his guilt, so attempts to expiate his sins by admitting, repenting, coming clean, telling his father that he's the one who's responsible for the deaths of Justine and William and Henry. He says, "I am the cause of this. They all died by my hands." Of course, on one level, this isn't true. But on another, it is very true that it is Victor's hands which formed the monster. Anything that the monster does with his hands is by extension a work of Victor's hands too. His father dismisses these claims as deranged, knowing nothing of the secret which Victor is struggling with, which is tearing him up inside, and which ultimately is the major cause of the isolation he experiences from others. And the more Victor is portrayed as isolated, the more we can view him as a mirror or parallel character or double of the monster that he has created. They're both outcasts. It's just that in Victor's case, the whole thing's self-imposed. Meanwhile, Victor receives a letter from Elizabeth asking him if he's in love with someone else. He replies, "All that I may one day enjoy is centered in you. Chase away your idle fears. To you alone do I consecrate my life and my endeavours for contentment." The letter reminds him of the monster's threat that he would be with him on his wedding night, but he seems to interpret this only as a threat to him rather than to his fiancée. As readers, of course, there's more dramatic irony as we're aware of the monster's plan when Victor says, "The monster blinded me to his real intentions, and when I thought that I had prepared only my own death, I hastened that of a far dearer victim, Elizabeth." We realise what Victor doesn't, that the monster's plan is to isolate Victor entirely, to deny him all family and friends, to make him suffer the same fate as he himself has been dealt, to live in solitude, deprived of companionship, especially now that Victor has made the decision to destroy his one hope of happiness, a female monster, before she was even created. The monster is intent on revenge. Victor has played with the consequences of his actions from the beginning, trying to escape the fate he deserves. Back in chapter 16, the monster announces, "The nearer I approached to your habitation, the more deeply did I feel the spirit of revenge enkindled in my heart." By chapter 17, he says, "I will revenge my injuries. If I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear, and chiefly towards you, my arch-enemy, because, my creator, do I swear inextinguishable hatred. Have a care, I will work at your destruction, nor finish until I desolate your heart, so that you shall curse the hour of your birth." Notice the repetition of the modal verb will here. The monster's pretty determined, and now that his only hope of happiness has been destroyed, what reason is there to hold back? As we get closer and closer to Victor and Elizabeth's wedding night, the tension rises as we as readers await the inevitable. As the day approaches, Victor seems lulled into a false sense of security when he says that he felt happier as the day fixed for its solemnization drew nearer, and I heard it continually spoken of as an occurrence which no accident could possibly prevent. There's a constant tension at the end of this chapter as they marry. Victor declares that the day was fair, the wind favourable. All smiled on our nuptial embarkation. Another opportunity to refer to romanticism here, as nature has its usual soothing effect when they see the pleasant banks of Montalegre and the beautiful Mont Blanc. Notice the positive pre-modification here. In contrast, however, Victor's secret understandably causes his wife to wonder what on earth he's going to reveal to her. The hidden danger of his secret seems to me to be represented here by the weapons that Victor carries with him everywhere. I took precaution, he says, to defend my person in case the fiend should openly attack me. I carried pistols and a dagger constantly about me and was ever on the watch. Victor talks about his tranquil demeanour and smiling appearance. There's an incredible contrast between appearance and reality here. On the surface, Victor is the smiling bridegroom. Beneath his coat, he hides pistols and daggers, and in his heart, he hides a secret which will destroy his bride and ultimately him.